TIFU by ruining a dozen children's birthday party in under a minute. TLDR at the bottom. This happened in the spring of 2015. My girlfriend at the time, a hardcore Disney fanatic we'll call Becky, had commissioned a custom Elsa cosplay from the movie Frozen. A friend of hers, Ryan, who Becky had lost contact with for several years, had come back into her life about that time. While we were hanging out, Ryan mentioned his youngest daughter was having her 5th birthday party the next day. Like any child alive and under the age of 14 at the time, her favorite movie was Frozen. I mentioned Becky's Elsa cosplay to Ryan, and suggested she show up to the birthday party in character to surprise his daughter. Both of them loved this idea. The birthday party wasn't being held at Ryan's home. It was being held at a community center in the suburb they lived in. It was a large, spacious, 2-story building. It had a central atrium where the main stair were, and all but 2 of the rooms had large windows looking into the heart of the building. As Becky and I arrived at the community on the April day, the early morning sunshine gave way to gray clouds, and gentle slow flurries started to fall. This is not uncommon in Minnesota in early April, but the timing made me smile. Then it happened. As we entered the community center, the rooms all around us were filled with families and children having birthday parties and other events. All the rooms but one were occupied that day. As the living personification of Elsa strolled the doorway into the central atrium, the parties stopped. Grade school-aged children fixed their gaze on the shimmering blue dress and translucent cape, the long blonde wig, the pale white skin, like lionesses stalking gazelles. The talking and yelling got quiet as they collectively drew in their breaths in a gasp. And then screaming began. "Mom, it's Elsa. Dad, can I go meet Elsa? Can we please have Elsa at our party? Please, please, please?" Quote. For a moment I felt like one of the coolest kids in school. After all, I was escorting Elsa to her engagement. I was lucky enough to be dating this badass cosplayer. She was authentic enough for the kids to believe it was the actual character. And then I saw the expressions on the adults' faces. Several adults were next to their children, pointing and enjoying their children's moment of wonder as a Disney princess walked by them in real life. But when I locked eyes with the parents of the child whose birthday was being celebrated, the expression was undeniable. Scorn. Sheer scorn. Because from the moment my girlfriend walked into that building, no matter how awesome the birthday party was, their child's birthday party did not have Elsa at it. And now they were going to have to deal with that fact. The room Ryan's daughter was celebrating her birthday in was possibly a large storage closet at one point in time, but the 10 children and small group of parents fit inside of it nicely. There was also the added benefit that it had no windows facing into or out of the building, so the children didn't see Becky stroll up to the door before she made her entrance. Once Becky was in the room, the magic of a little girl's imagination was overpowering. Before Becky even sat down next to the 5-year-old, she was crying happy tears and looked like she might pass out from excitement. The other children at the birthday party were equally spellbound, save for one 7-year-old boy who was not going to be fooled and insisted Becky wasn't the real Elsa. With the patience of a saint, Becky sat with the birthday girl enjoying cake, watching her open presents, answering endless questions about Arendelle, reindeer, trolls, Princess Anna, all the while the 7-year-old denied her authenticity. Every time the boy tried to catch Becky up in a logic trap, Becky was quick enough to answer with a completely plausible reason for why she did not have reindeer with her. and why she wouldn't perform magic in Minnesota. The governor had asked her not to after all. After 45 minutes of being overloaded on cuteness, cake, and small children screaming, I stepped outside the room to catch a breath, child-free air for a few minutes. I noticed through the second-story windows that the snowfall had gotten much thicker and heavier. Quarter-sized snowflakes were floating slowly, cinematically through the air and covering everything in sight. It was incredibly beautiful. So much so that I didn't notice the 5 adults staring at me from 10 feet away. One of them cautiously approached me and said, "You came with that girl in the princess costume, right?" I told them I had. At which point he asked me if Becky would stop by his granddaughter's birthday party. And with that the floodgates opened as all the other people began asking for Becky to stop into their parties too. Real giggly. Just for a few minutes. Just for a quick photo. "I'll pay if you do. $50. I'll pay $100, but she has to sing the song. It would mean so much to him. Please, she won't stop crying about it. It's her fault for doing this to her after all." And then I quickly realized I was in hostile territory. I calmly told them I would ask if it was possible, knowing it wasn't, and slipped back into the room. Becky was just finishing up her rendition of "Let It Go" and all. The children but one were singing along with her. Becky sat down with the birthday girl, as the 7-year-old doubter continued his attacks on her identity. The birthday girl, bless her, turned to this 7-year-old little cynic and said, "She's answered all your questions right. She's Elsa. Now leave her alone." Quote, "I never wanted to high-five a kid so hard in my entire life." As the birthday party was winding down about then, I whispered to Becky that some of the other parents were jealous and wanted her presence at their parties. She flatly turned that notion down. When I mentioned the snowfall getting heavy, Becky's eyes lit up a bit. Becky turned to the birthday girl and said, "Guess what? I'm not supposed to do this. But it's your birthday, so if you keep a secret for me, maybe I can get away with some magic." The birthday girl carefully nodded her head, unblinking as if she was afraid she might miss whatever would come next. Becky closed her eyes and went into an expression of serene concentration for about 30 seconds. When she opened her eyes, she stood up and led the birthday girl outside of the room to the second floor windows, where there had been a cold but sunny Minnesota spring day an hour before there was now a wintry twilight blanketed in thick white snow, still coming down. All the children followed into the hallway and stared in absolute wonder. At this point, even the 7-year-old doubting child had his jaw near the floor. Becky got the biggest hug from the birthday girl as she said goodbye, and the children were herded back into the celebration room to collect their toys, candy, and presents. I caught a few adults from the other parties waiting on the second floor, expectantly looking towards us. I slowly shook my head, no, in their direction, at which point I received a few death glares. We decided to exit out the opposite side of the building than we had entered, for safety reasons. As we were 30 feet from the door, a group of a dozen children and their parents made their way in the community center. As one of the mothers was commenting, "I didn't think it was supposed to snow today." Becky and I walked past the group quickly. The audible gasps from the children were hysterical. One child even pointed and yelled, "That's why it's snowing. Elsa did it." Quote. The look of cognitive dissonance on the parent's face was priceless. But I knew another parent would have to explain why they hadn't gotten Elsa to attend their child's birthday. TLDR. My girlfriend dressed up as Elsa for a birthday party in the spring of 2015. The parents of other children having birthday parties in the same building got angry, jealous, because their party didn't have Elsa attending. An incredibly convenient spring snowstorm convinced a bunch of grade school children that my girlfriend was absolutely the real Elsa. Honestly, the parents should have just explained to their kids that she's busy at someone else's birthday. That was a wholesome story. Your girlfriend seems very creative. Those children will get over it. I work with a professional sports team's mascot. I assure you, you acted just like you should have. Every child wants some special time with the character they love. But that just isn't possible when I'm the mascot handler. Which is basically what you were doing for your girlfriend. I have to be an advocate for the performer above all else. Their safety and comfort is my #1 priority. You have to set the rules and uphold the boundaries that the performer cannot. Mascot, or Elsa in this case, being a dick to kids? Bad look. Even if the kid hit them or was climbing on them, getting in the way of other kids, or generally being a nuisance. The bodyguard, being somewhat of a dick to kids? Of course, within reason. I want all kids to have a good time and will do my best to see to that. Expected. People have been hiring performers for birthday parties forever. And their neighbors have been trying to hop on that train. For free. For just as long. NTA. Oh wait, wrong sub. I didn't expect that ending at all. The only thing missing was the photo outside with the kids and Elsa. Great story. Thanks for sharing. Honestly, I was expecting this to go like, my girlfriend dressed like Elsa for a friend's kid's b-day. Went to party and found a closet to fuck in. Then kids opened closet door to see Elsa getting one up the tailpipe. Birthday ruined. But this is good too. Love seeing entitled parents get shot down. I went to OP's profile hoping to find pictures of Becky as Elsa. I instead found OP's comments on the porn side of Reddit LMAO. I'm not seeing the F up here. I was sure the foo would be op getting caught banging Elsa in full costume by all the kids and their parents. Reddit has ruined me. So what you're telling me is that I need to become a cosplayer and make bank at birthday parties. This isn't a TIFU. This is a parents failed to spoil their spoiled child, so they throw an immature hissy fit and blame others except themselves. I mean, this is sweet story, but no part of it involves a foo on your part. You're not even really directly involved in the story. Other than that, you were present and your girlfriend was the one dressed as Elsa. I was worried you were going to say that the kids caught you fooling around with your girlfriend while she was dressed as Elsa at the community center. That would have been a foo. But entitled parents trying to save face with their kids and misdirecting anger at you, your girlfriend, is not a foo on your part. I read the title as Running Over a Dozen Children, and I was instantly intrigued. Becky handled herself very well. Kept in mind she was there for one child but was also graceful enough to politely decline offers for other parties. I mean, Elsa could have stopped by the other parties and said hi. But she had to go back to her friend's party. Royalty does sometimes have obligations. I've seen a few people say TIFU was becoming the Penthouse fan letters. This is the Penthouse letters without sex. Becky sounds awesome. I'm no professional, but I dabble in cosplay and know quite a few really dedicated cosplayers. I have a friend who is a coda child of deaf adults, and he was cosplaying as Superman for an event at a comic store. This little boy with cochlear implants approached for a picture, and without missing a beat, My friend started talking to him in sign language. The parents almost cried. They were so happy. And that little boy will probably remember that experience forever. Stuff like that just warms my heart. Oh man. My ex used to look a lot like Transformers' Megan Fox. Long black hair. Crystal blue eyes that pierced through the soul. Anyways. She would do B-day parties for like 12 to 14-year-olds that 100% thought it was her. Anyways. She stopped doing it because apparently the dads of these kids were quite creepy and said a lot of really gross stuff to her.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.